All right, we are live once again with the Underground Experience. I am your host, Mr. J. Tonight, our artist, producer, guest is West T, and we are getting ready to go live with him. Check out the website, Empire Music, spelled MUSIQ. It's Empire Music. That's www.empiremusic, music spelled MUSIQ. Check out the blog. Check out the funder for the Underground Experience documentary, as well as our music and merch on the site, and our various radio partners, and how you can be a part of the Underground Experience documentary, supporting that. How you can have your ads on our radio show. We're just waiting for West T to come on. All right, and we got
What's
West
going
T
on,
in the
man?
building.
How are
What's
you?
going on? All right,
How's it going tonight?
all right. Everything's good. Everything's good.
Good.
Basically, on this platform, we get people to tell their stories about how they got started. How the scene is from the time they got started till now, and just the growth and so on and so forth. So basically, let's start with something simple. How did you get your name?
I'm from the west side of Michigan, and my last name reflects some of it, and I went back and forth with my name, and finally I just made a decision to be simple, to that I didn't need all the raz and daz of the art, like the artist I'm dealing with, just because I don't want to take the attention away from my artist. So I just made it simple. If I wanted a nickname, they call me Wes or T or whatever. But yeah, so I'm from, like I said, West Michigan, born and raised. I'm very proud of where I'm from. Michigan's got a very, very solid, strong music scene, and I'm just humbled to be here with you tonight on Friday night, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
It's no problem, no problem. Basically, what brought you into, to the music scene? What drew you in?
Um, I was riding the bus when I was riding the bus when I was 8 years old, and I have never heard hip hop, and I heard something on the radio on the bus. It was the city bus. I was going to school, and I heard Beastie Boys. I was 8 years old, and I was like, what is that? And I really wasn't exposed to much before that. And then it kind of grabbed my attention, and then I started listening to Run DMC. I got that Raising Hell album, and I was listening to that, and I fell in love. And then, from there it went to um, I can not, I'll never forget. In school, I went to a Catholic school, and the first time Too Short I heard, and it swore in it, and the whole class was like, whoa, and we had a substitute teacher that day, and they were like, and then it like even just the strength of the message that was portrayed through those songs, and then NWA, of course. I mean, it was just like I fell in love with, the NWA was just brought me to another level. How about you?
Definitely. My first situation was basically hearing um, Slick Rick on the block. Basically, a lot of people would walk around, back in the day, with the boom boxes. And, as a real little kid, I'd hear people, playing music or whatever. And I was kind of hearing that first joint, basically hearing the show. It kind of sounded like the Inspector Gadget beat. And I was like, what is that? Kind of, but that's basically what drew me in first off.
Would you say you're more of a East Coast guy or West Coast kind of guy? I mean, you're from the East Coast, right? North
Yeah,
Carolina?
yeah.
Okay. So
So
what
uh, it's hard to say. I mean, I really kind of the West Coast, kind of really influenced me as I became a teenager. Um, the East Coast, kind of brought me back in. So it's a little bit of everything, really, because I listen to East Coast, West Coast, Midwest, down South, you know. Um, and even as a consummate student, I'm constantly listening to, different people from everywhere. So
it's a beautiful thing. Nice.
definitely. So you kind of got drawn in by the music. What was the first thing that you decided you wanted to do?
Well, I for me, I got, the 90s came along and I just we got spoiled in the 90s, and then there was a really big gap of time where there was just nothing that interested me. And so like I mean, after a while I'm like, how can I change the how can I change the whole dialogue of all the rap game, I'm like, can I do it? And I'm like, eh. And then I started messing with the digital audio workstations and like to manipulate sound and be able to make something really, really beautiful out of it. Like, so I took it upon myself to um change things, change, the not the normal like Jay Dilla. He was never on pat, not ever, but he was never like scripted hip hop like music theory guy. And I watched a documentary about him about how he would make these odd like out of the rhythm beats.
Yeah.
And so that alone like made me kind of go, oh, okay. Like when you hear so much of something, you- like even today, like kids, they want their minds is constantly, I need change, I need change, I need change. But like those little changes from, the NWA, who was about way ahead of their game. Um, so it was just, it was just trying to change the whole, listening pattern of it. And so that's pretty much kind of my story about that.
So coming into basically the production is what you're talking about.
Mhm.
What was your process like? What were the kind of things were you initially just kind of digging in the crates and getting sounds and getting different things and
You know what? I'm a little more new to this game. I've been making music for producing for 5 years now, which I would consider that newbie, but coronavirus brought bad and good to the world,
yeah,
and I tried to take lemons and turn them into lemonade, and I got my first little. It was a little DAW that I had no idea what was going on. I didn't know anything about Pro Tools. It was just a beat making program. And so when coronavirus happened, I was locked, we were all locked in the house. How
yeah.
much TV can you watch? You know what I mean?
Right, right.
And how much news can you watch? And it just was like I have to find something else to do. And I got my I've always loved music, but I got my first DAW, and man, I started messing around with it, and then I started sending it, to a couple people, and they're like, "That's really good." And I'm like, wow. And they would describe like scenes, like they'd be like, yeah, I feel like I'm going on a road in a Cadillac, bumping some music with, with the top down, with the wind blowing in my ear. And it's one thing to have music that you listen to, but it's another thing when you actually have an experience you have behind it. And that's kind of my idea, that I want to bring an experience and a vibe and feeling things. And You know, I've had people say they've cried during my beats and happiness, and I've had people tell me that they've been in the worst place in their life and they listened to one of my beats and they're like, it brought me right back. And that's the power of music, you know. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful thing, you know. So
That's
yeah, that was the start, and then man, it just continued, and then I started just being a beat maker, and then I didn't know I had no idea what a compressor was. I had no idea what an EQ. I didn't know anything about them. I'm like, I'm just gonna make beats and turn up the volume and make them loud.
yeah.
But then I started getting to the music theory of it and kind of researching things, and like then I found out that I don't have to have 19 different instruments on a beat. You know, I can make five that could have just beautiful basses, beautiful drums, and then gel it all together. And then really, I when you make a beat, the artist you're not even considering when you first get into it. So you're just making all these beats. But then when I got into it a little bit more, I had the artist get on there, and then a couple of my guys told me, "Hey man, you gotta tone it down a little bit. Let us have some room to breathe." And I
Right.
didn't understand that. And they were like, "Yeah, we got to breathe," And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And then I figured out I've gotten some guidance from some of my people, and they're like, and then now I'm like, breathe, breathe. I'll compliment you. And
Right.
it's a really good thing to bring a top tier rapper um to the best. You know what I mean? Because production is underrated, and it's a beautiful thing when that final project is done. You get it polished up, and you're like, man, I got goosebumps in the back of my neck. I got shiver. I get all those feel good feelings. I'm like, I'm not gonna ever stop this. How can It's almost like an adrenaline rush when you're done. But the
Right.
hard work that goes into it, like people don't realize, except for like a lot of the music industry, like how much time is involved in it. But when you love something that much, it's not time doesn't even matter to me. Time, I look at the clock one time and I'll be like, oh my gosh. But then I'm like, but this is how far I am right now, and I'm very happy with the results. So it's a pretty beautiful thing. Beautiful thing.
Dope. Dope.
Yeah.
When you talk about making a beat, what's your process like? Like are you um kind of laying everything down at one time
So
and trying to finish everything up, like
I
within a few hours, or is it kind of like you got to come back to it sometimes?
it's all unorthodox. I'm all over the place, man. It's I've been anywhere where I'll just start out with a drum, and then I'm kind of more of a harmonic guy, melodic guy, I should say. But
Hmm.
like, I still love my boom bat. I still like when I get that certain drum, I can compliment it. But no, there's no like set process.
Hmm.
But yeah, there are times where I got to walk away where I'm like, I get producer block, just like any artist gets writer's block. And it's a real thing where sometimes you just got to walk away. And I've been known to walk away for a week. I've been known to walk away for a couple hours. I've been known to walk away for a month, but
Yeah.
sometimes you got to get that zest and that passion back. And sometimes the best thing is just to have a little bit of a hiatus, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But yeah, as far as like I also do reggae a little bit. I go to an island in Honduras a lot, and they have these very beautiful accents. It's like a Creole, a French Creole, Spanish, like English dialect. And
Right.
so like also I try to like keep an open mind as far as the genres, but um when you go down there, into any Latin American country, music is like culture. Like we are, as an American, we are cultural in music, but that is their culture. That is like you go walk down the street, they got the music turned up all the way, and they you can't even hear anything, but they don't, they're just jamming in the street. They don't care, could be distorted, could be a little 10, 12 inch sub in the middle of nowhere, but
Right.
they're just happy and they're singing and they're dancing, and I'm like, wow, there's just, we're such a small tiny spot on such a big earth. So
Right.
like I'm all about like being diverse and making, eclectic. And so, I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
And when you talk about diversity and eclect and being eclectic, what kind of sounds kind of draw you in? Is it mainly Caribbean sounds
You
when
know
you're working
what,
on
man?
everything, or do you have like
I,
sampling, or are you looking for like rock or
I do it all. I
what?
do it all, man.
Yeah.
I sample. I like to sample. I chop. I chopped up guy told me to chop up an old Elton John sample. That was fun, you know. Without getting copyright infringement. I know how to do it the right way.
Right.
But no, like I get in these moods where maybe one day I'll start out with like a um what's the drum, the reggae drum they have, the forget what it's called. But it's all over the place. It just depends. But I like I told you earlier, my thing is getting in your soul. Like I want to get in your soul, and I want you to want more, and then be like, after you hear one of my songs, go right to my page and be like, I want to see what else that guy's got to offer. And I am a sharer, so I want to share what I create with people, and that's the joy of it. When you're done, people are like, "Oh my God." And if
Yeah.
if I don't complete a job and someone's like, that's not that great," I'm not. Then no taken, no taken. What didn't you
Right.
like about it? How can I improve it? But I'm a very like I do rock and roll, but I do rock and roll hip hop. So like it's not like all guitars. I'll throw a guitar, just like kind of UGK. If you listen to their old school beats,
Yeah.
you'll hear that guitar in the beat background. But somehow they make that hard, man. It's so hard, that Houston sound. Or what was I listening to? Two Chains is not one of my favorite rappers, but man, he just did one probably a year or two ago with the Isley Brothers, where they're in the
Hmm.
middle of Atlanta and they're just playing the guitar, and I'm like, oh my Lord. I'm like, look at this. This is, you would not even think that this would be possible with like Two Chains. But
Yeah.
the Isley Brothers killed it. Absolutely beautiful, man. Played the guitar all the way through, and it just blended. It just had all that energy, which is very, very great for, any producer that just have that vibe going, and that's what I kind of thrive on.
Hmm.
So
So when you're kind of in a studio session and you got the beat laid down for everybody, um, is it a live session, or are you trying to, do you ship off your beats, or do you like the live sessions, being in a live session with artists being in there with you and kind of vibing off each other?
What happened is at first, I was on this show that was, I was submitting beats to a show.
Hmm.
It was on X, and these guys review music, and I submitted it, and they liked it.
Hmm.
So I started getting artists out of this room, like just like, and I'm like, I actually was putting my beats on the show, and they had prize giveaways, and I had no artists at this time. This was before I even got my artist, and they
Right.
had a giveaway. Like they were like, "Hey, can we give away one of your beats?" And so they had a thing where they spun a wheel, and then they had get a Westie beat. And so there was a guy named Paulo. He's out of Toronto, and he's like, and I'm thinking, oh, they're probably not gonna follow through on it. And he hit me up right away. He's like, hey, I guess I got a beat from you. And so like I gave it to him, not thinking anything, and he he gives it back to me. mixed, mastered, and he nailed. I mean, it was a beautiful thing. He had the
Mm,
energy in it, and then after that, we kept working together, and then like we're still working together, and he is an absolute beast on the mic from Toronto, and then I hooked him up with a group called Fist Coalition. And so I started
right,
collaborating all these like strategically placing voice levels, tones, and like compliments. Like so I'm like, all right, let's give this a try. Fist Coalition, Mike D. Hunter, and then Seldom. And then I'm like, I'm gonna get this, his name's Paulo on the last track. And that's how Stamped in Soil came about. And I'm like,
right,
it was like magic. It just kind of fell in my hands. And I'm like, I looked at it and I'm like, 5 years ago, I would not have thought I could make something like this. But now I got Paulo hitting me up all the time. Hey, you got beats? So I got a bunch of stuff coming with him. But then I'm going to reunite Fist Coalition with them. I'm hoping on another beat on my album, and it's just a beautiful thing because all these guys are so like professional. Like I think those guys, Fist Coalition, got my beat or got their lyrics done in a week. Like,
yeah,
but they were like all brushed up and polished, and then I'm like, oh well, we're gonna have to wait a long time for Paulo. Paulo got so excited about Fist Coalition, he had his done in a week, and we had the whole beat done in like a week and a half with just like independent, no like going to the studio. We're just trading stems online, and that's how I kind of started. Now, um, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to kind of plug or try to find more artists, and I'm trying to promote artists. So I'm trying to compliment artists and try to get like the listening ear is different. Kids they like a lot of change. It's always boom, 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 change, 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 change. So I
mm,
like to get like different like tones and like pitches and like just different like styles of rapping. So I try to keep an eclectic viewpoint on mine and something out of the box. Like I'm trying
right,
to change the word genre, you know what I'm saying, but to good,
yeah,
people will be like, well, you can't do that. Well, it's hip hop. That's all it's going to be. I can throw a guitar on there, and it doesn't have to be rock and roll. UGK did it, so why can't I do it? Two Chains did it with the Isley Brothers. There's no music theory about rock and roll. You throw that guitar in there, it does not change the genre. If I have some hardcore rappers on a guitar, that's like a beautiful thing, you know.
right.
So yeah, it's a beautiful thing, my guy. I love it.
That's definitely a great thing to have different sounds and different instrumentation on a lot of uh, you know tracks.
Yeah,
As far as like producing for different people, is there other people you would like to produce for? We got a bucket list of producers or artists, other artists that you would like to collaborate with.
yeah. They're with my hometown. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. There's a lot of talent in this town, but it's not exposed. Like Detroit and Flint and Saginaw and Benton Harbor, we have so much talent, but Grand Rapids just is kind of left in the dust. I'm trying to do what I can to work with artists from my city.
Hmm.
Um, and I got a couple guys, but I would always like to plug my city a little bit more, but I'm not picky. It doesn't always have to be my city. Like I know Carolinas, I know they got a beautiful hip hop community. I would love to work with any artist from there. I actually have another producer in Texas I'm thinking about putting on. I've talked about with him off that show actually, where I want to get two artists and rap about. He's from Texas, two artists,
Right.
and my artist rap. I'll get two artists raps about Texas, good things, and then he will get two artists from Texas to rap about Michigan. Man, I would do that with Carolina. I
Hmm.
do that with anything, anywhere. It's not like I'm gatekeeping on anything. I want to share the love.
Right.
That's what kind of game I'm trying to run. Is I'm trying to, feed people and feed them nice vibes, but also, I'm not. Oh yeah, well it's got to be just this amount of people, but there's talent in my city, but Detroit they work together a little bit more cohesively, and they're I'm hoping to change that whole, dialogue with that whole conversation about my city. But, we got talent. It's just kind of cliquish. So I want to break that, and I want to get all the guys that are different, or, have a different style, just together and just complement each other.
Definitely. So are there different spots, you want to try to get people into different venues and things like that? You want to try to, you know, get those folks together in so they kind of perform at the same kind of spots or, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it would be nice to just, like I said, link up, artists from different, not only my city linking up, but it's good to see my boy Paulo from Toronto, who I wouldn't have met. I wouldn't know who he is. I'm gonna tell you, Paulo, that guy. Remember his name. He's one of those guys that just he was actually in a punk rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me this. I remember when I first met him. He's like, "Oh yeah, well I got to play in my band," and
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "What do you what? You're in a band?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm in a punk rock band." And when you hear him, you would never think that he was in like that kind of a band. But that's just how beautiful music is. Like as a producer, I want to bring the best talent out of people and
Yeah,
compliment them in the right way. So yeah, so yes, I would like to, you know, get people and expose them a little bit more, because online's great, but people like to still go out and go to concerts. People like to look forward to events. You only can sit home a certain amount of time before you need to get out and experience, that bass in your body, or those drums, or whatever it is, chanting back, back and forth in the concert, and you know, so you still gotta have that live music.
definitely.
Mhm.
Are there particular venues that kind of stand out when you want to try to bring these people together?
To be honest, man, the smaller venues are we in my city. We have a lot of like smaller venues, but like we have like big names that come here. So when I
Mm-hmm.
talk about like we don't have as big of a culture here as it should be, people love to come to Grand Rapids and perform, because the places we have, they really do sound systems right. So when you go in there, it's shaking it's just, you can feel that power. Like, and a lot of people that I know that have came and performed at Grand Rapids, they really, they make a comment that they really like coming here to perform. So that's a beautiful thing as well. But we have one large stadium. It's called Van Andel. It's 12,000 people, and that's great because they did top of the line sound system there. But we have more. Like, even we have this place called the Intersection that Obi Trice came there from Detroit, and when he got there, the sound was like amazing. I'm like, so I would like to promote more of the um, little venues, and like where you're gonna have that really nice sounding, where you're gonna go and you're gonna feel like the bass, and you're gonna, it's more intimate, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Yeah.
So as far as what kind of projects are you trying to put together? Is it still just
I got a
producing for
record.
individuals, or just trying to put
I got a,
everything?
I got a record right now going. I'm starting to put some people together. I think it's going to be about 13 tracks. I have
Hmm.
Paulo, Attaboy Paulo will be on. It's at he's his tag is at Attaboy Paulo, and then Fist Coalition. Um, I think you might have interviewed an individual that is in that band. Which,
Yeah,
wow,
seldom. Yeah. So,
wow, what he's a beast. Both those guys,
hmm
and that's what I'm saying. Like Mike D. Hunter, it's like the night he reminds me of Biggie, but then you have Seldom, and then he comes and just eats lyrics up. But then you have those two, you can split them up, and almost if you have someone to split, they split themselves up. But like the third guy, like Paulo complimented them real nice. But then I got another guy named Debbie E, who will be on my record, and yeah, we call him the one hit wonder, and that's because one take wonder. I'm sorry, because we recorded one of my produced songs in the studio where he got on the mic, and
hmm
it's funny. He looks at me and he goes, "I'm gonna let you know right now, I work fast." And I'm like, "Well, what does that mean?" He goes, "You'll see." He did his lyrics in one take.
mm,
And my master, who's master for Playboy Cardi, Nas, he looked at me and he goes, I guess we're gonna do it in one take. And like that is not like normal, like to be able to get it like that in one take. Like, but
hmm
he's done a lot of other things. He plays the guitar. He plays, he's very like musically talented. But
right.
then I got another guy out of he's out of Boston, Halifax. He did a more he'll this will be on my record too. He did a I got some nice guitar riffs and like some energy boosts, and his name's Jafer. He did a really nice job on my, and he does something a lot of my guys talk about: mental health, about struggles and how to overcome them, because a lot of people, they get in those moods,
Yeah,
and music pulls everybody out of a mood, but you got to hear the words to pull you out, and you
right.
got to tell your stories about going down and then pulling out. And that's the beautiful thing about music too, is people like rely on a story sometimes, or don't rely, but you can pull people out of funks if you just word things right and the energy is right. But I have a couple other guys from my hometown here. One guy's name is Big PA. He's out of Holland, Michigan, and then I have another guy named Joe Brown. He's out of Grand Rapids, and they have more of a trap sounding voice, like hardcore. So I'm
Yeah,
all over the place. But like, if I can make you have goosebumps on your arms, or I can make you have a tear out of your eye, or I can make you like go search my page after you hear it to be like, damn, why are these people not discovered? And that's a big thing that I'm lacking, is I'm not, when social media or I mean, when the pandemic happened, I got off social media because I was just tired of hearing about the politics and negativity, and I really didn't take an interest in it. I was like, kind of like, eh. And then I realized how big that is in the game now, that I got to step up my game. So we have a couple guys that don't have followings. They have maybe, 50 followers or whatever, but are like, could compete with any of these big time artists.
yeah,
So that's what I want to do, is expose those kind of talents that are undiscovered and they're like Big PA. He's new in the game. Joe Brown's new in the game. And that's I like to do that because I like the creative aspect of putting the different guys together too.
yeah.
You know,
Uh,
it's a beautiful thing. As Mac Miller would say, it's a beautiful thing.
right.
And I'm not even a Mac. There's another guy that I didn't even realize how talent. It's a guy that was saying in a park, and I'm like, that's that's not my style. That's not my gig. But when you dig into that guy, like the amount of layers of talent that guy had,
Yeah,
I'm like, man, I mean, I wasn't a huge follower or fan, but I started kind of messing around with him at the end before he died, and like to me, that's like hidden talent that like it doesn't always have to be like boom bat all the time. It can throw in a sprinkle of a hook, or a little African vibe or Caribbean vibe, or that's what I like to do. That's that creative process.
Yeah. Pairing up, different artists from different places, dig into that a little bit more. Let me know, how does that kind of, come together, getting, meeting these artists and things.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It just falls in my lap sometimes. Just like I said, interaction with the show, brought me Paulo, but then, you know, like it's just I'm such a speck on the world with all this talent, and you know, I still want to discover more people. I still want to have people bless the beats. I want to leave a mark and an impression on this world before I go, and just to say, hey, man, like I'll always remember, Snoop. I'll always remember Dr. Dre till the day I die. I'm never gonna forget those guys. I always remember NWA. So like, it's just like if music's that impactful, you know what I mean? Like you're just like it can change your whole life and make a bad situation into a good situation. And like I said, I do a lot of mental health in a lot of my beats, and like show like talk my artists will talk about struggles, drug abuse, drug addiction, living at homelessness, a lot of things, like, or have a family member that died, or someone that died, or someone's depressed.
Yeah.
And if someone comes, I don't know about you, but I was raised that you didn't speak about your emotions or your depression. So
Mm.
like this is new to some people to be. I had a girl that I was talking to with music in South America, and she said that they don't really talk about that, and like because she listened to my music and hit me up and was like, "Your music's beautiful, but we don't talk about that kind of thing." And I'm like, "Well, it's relatable, it's relatable, and you know, you're going through things that you don't think people are going through, but until they say it, then you can start understanding. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Hmm.
But you have the struggle, but also you have to be able to somehow overcome that struggle and get to the next level and try to, find a way another day, way to another day, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just like the mental thing is like, I mean, a lot of my guys, and I don't put restrictions on their lyrics. If they swear, if they talk about this or that's their emotions. That's how they feel. That's their personality. I'm not taking that creativity away from them. In fact, I'll probably compliment it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's a great thing, man.
So you're definitely hoping to create this album, kind of in the vein of a Dre or someone like that.
Yeah, I see it like it's like I get it's a hard like for me discrepancy to pick between East Coast and West Coast. So I
Hmm.
just mix them. I get a nice little I just mix them. I like and then I'll go from like East Coast boom bat to West Coast like vibe, like
Street
I
funk,
don't even.
sort of. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like.
to then all of a sudden, I mean, South, Atlanta has got their own sound. And then Houston has got its own sound, and I love that. Detroit's got their own sound, so I get in my moods. Right now, I'd have to say I'd say I'm more of like a Midwest, like, but I do vary, and like I go back and forth, but like I said, I kind of mix everything based on the artist. Like my one artist could have a West Coast type of beat, I could drop it with a hook or just drop it. Period. I could have another artist come in with the East Coast vibe. That's what the wonderful thing is when I got the control to do whatever I want. Being a producer. And they're like I said, a lot of people these days they're throwing the whole music theory in a whole different direction. There's no like boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you got to stop. Hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stop. Next artist. I'm all over. And my artists will say that to me. They'll be like, "Man, you're all over the place on this." I'm like, "It's all feelings and vibes, man."
Definitely. And that seems to be a thing with basically Midwest, Midwest artists that they can kind of draw from a lot of different things. Draw from, the Delta blues and draw from, West Coast, kind of G funk vibes that kind of
Yeah.
take from Parliament and,
Yeah.
East Coast boom bap. Because you have different artists like that. Common out of Chicago,
Yeah.
Bone out of Ohio,
Yep.
the
What
late
about
MC
Carolinas?
Breed.
MC Breed, Flint Town, Fly
Yeah.
City. Yup, man.
Dayton
R.I.P.
family. Yeah.
Oh yeah, beautiful, man. What about Carolinas? Educate us Northerners on some because I'm interested. I like the South stuff too. I mean, what's going on in the Southern world down in Carolinas? Because I like the. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like J. Cole, great. Atlanta, great. But what's going on in Carolinas? Like, are you
Well,
from Charlotte?
J. Cole, J. Cole is from my city, 2-6. Uh,
Okay.
you know, um, of course we have different artists like myself.
Are you a
Artists like,
spitter?
yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Um, uh, Artists like, uh, you know, we just had sampled from, J. Cole just sampled from an artist that we were cool with. Um, uh,
Great.
Ground Zero,
Yo.
artists like Rain 910, Big Kaz. Of course, we just had another artist come out not too long ago, um, and he had a decent run going. But he also, every artist in the city basically has their own sound. Um, of course, I just interviewed Black Watch not too long ago. Um, so each artist is, kind of like you were talking about, influenced by different parts, different sounds, boom bap, trap, uh, you know, West Coast hip hop. My last album, One Heartbeat Away, which is on platforms right now, as different sounds from West Coast sounding,
Like
G
it.
Funk, to a joint I did with Pace One. That was kind of a
Ooh.
East Coast uh, boom bap sounding. Got different moods, different
Yeah.
subject matter, from political to real life stuff. So, every artist in this area, in this city, and even in the state is different. You can go to Raleigh and you got Little Brother. They're probably, one of the favorite underground artists out of the area, out of North Carolina by a lot of people. Um,
I like
then you
that.
then you got Charlotte. Um, we got other people coming out. But one of the biggest names is the baby, and he's kind of more trappish. So
And I love it. I
across
love
the
the
state.
baby, man. I love the baby, and you know what I like about the baby is that he does stuff with Detroit people, like when he did something with Ice Wear Vezo from Detroit,
Hmm.
and that was a beaut. Yeah. So I'm hey, let me know. I mean, I'm always willing to. I'm all about connection, so I'm not selfish about being a gatekeeping on anything. I'll tap. I want to tap. I would love to tap in and see what's in Carolina because I love. I've been to Carolina. I love. People are really friendly down there, and I would like to learn more about your music scene. It's always a learning process. So
Definitely. I'm in the middle of, trying to finish up a documentary basically on, specifically on the Fayetteville scene, but the splashes of the greater Carolina scene in it as well. So,
okay.
I'm getting people.
Educate us, bring it, we always hear Atlanta, Houston, LA, Chicago. Let's bring Carolina up to par. I'm sure it's good down there, but you know, I'm completely down to try to even work with people down there, or have people from up here work down there. I mean, it's
Definitely,
like
definitely.
yeah,
I'm always trying to, network with everybody and connect all the dots. Definitely,
excellent. So we're on the same page. I'm all about that. That's one of my favorite parts about it too, is just to see any kind of race, color, creed, whatever it is. Music always brings everyone together. It's a
definitely,
beautiful thing that I can walk in to a Detroit studio, and if they know that I'm there to promote their music or help them out with their music, it doesn't. You can be in the most dangerous area in the whole city, and then you're fine because you tapped in and you checked in, and they're like, okay, yeah, this guy's serious. He's serious about his thing. I'm gonna have a feeling that because the South is like that. I know that you guys, and if it's not, let me let me change it.
I
I
think
like it though, man. I do. I appreciate you tapping in with me too.
definitely, definitely. I
Yeah,
think I want to get people to be able to tell their stories and show the rest of the world, what we love about this hip hop game, bringing like you said, bringing everybody together. Um,
love it, love it.
so you said you got what's the name of the upcoming project? Do you have a name for it?
I started out naming it Contigo with you in Espanol. I know I speak Spanish, and um, that was just a temporary name. I haven't named it yet. I'm not really. It's still. I think I got like two or three more tracks to polish, and
Hmm.
I'm not making it a job. I'm kind of just taking my time, and so I might change. A lot changes all the time for me. The name might. I've had songs names changed three times before I even got it done. So
Hmm.
I'm not really sure, but for right now, temporarily, I named it Contigo with you in Espanol. So I would like to I was telling one of my artists too that Spanish is um, the second biggest spoken language in the world.
Hmm.
You know, and like unless you're in a Spanish community, it just sounds. It doesn't sound like your traditional type music. But once you understand, it's so beautiful. But I would like to eventually like tap in a little bit down there, and like even if it's up here doing it from, my house or whatever, or my studio, whatever, but I think that's an underrated scene. And like I was telling my artists as well that you know the music is culture. Like you don't have a choice. Like you have a choice, but you don't have a choice because they got that damn music up so high, you're gonna hear it anyways.
Yeah.
But no, they embrace it. It's crazy just to see that how involved music is, and when we play our music, you're inside the house and you're playing it. Down there, they're outside and they want you to hear their music. They want you to come over. It's a social thing. They want you to, and like I said, it's turned up so loud. It's like they don't want you to talk because they want you to hear what they're listening to, and it's just a different experience. But it's a beautiful thing, man.
That's a big market. Um,
Huge.
to have like we just had the Super Bowl, and you had Bad Bunny, you know, come and do a whole cultural thing, and
Yeah,
basically have a whole history lesson
yeah.
within his
Art.
music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, art. It was
Yeah.
pure art. He did. It really was too. You're right. I mean, everyone can pick everything apart on everything. Oh yeah, well there was my kid, oh well there's half naked ladies or whatever. You can pick everything apart. However, if you look at the deeper meaning of it, like he gave you a story. He told a story through that. And like if you have visuals added to the music, like you can learn things from people if you're open minded. Some people don't want to learn though, unfortunately, but I'm a learner. I always want to learn. I want to learn about the areas like Carolinas. I want to learn different kinds of music. It's always learning to me. I mean, yeah. But yeah, that was a good he did good. He did good on that. I'm from Michigan. I definitely wasn't watching Kid Rock. I wasn't watching that nonsense. The what they have the lip syncville or whatever. I don't like to get into politics that much, but most Michigan people don't really like that kind of stuff. You
Mhm.
know, you'd be surprised how diverse Michigan is. We got I think like there's four cities that are predominantly African American: Detroit, Saginaw, Flint, Benton Harbor. Those are decent sized. But then we have like um the biggest Middle Eastern, Southfield, Michigan, right outside of Detroit, the biggest Middle Eastern population outside the Middle East. You
Mhm.
never even think that. The Dearborn, 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 Dearborn. And when you go there, you realize everything's in English and it's in Arabic.
Mhm.
So like you don't even realize until you start visiting, like especially Detroit, because there's a pocket here, there's a pocket there. You got
Mhm.
Polish people here, and then a block over, you got like Romanian people, and then you'll have an African American community, and then it's got a huge. I didn't even know it had a huge Mexican population, but
Mhm.
like with Michigan, you wouldn't know that. You would have no idea. Is that what's the Carolinas like? Pretty
Well,
diverse.
yeah, I think so. Even more so coming now. Uh, outside Cary or in the Cary area, Cary Apex area, you have a very heavy influx of Indian and you know Persian and uh, Middle Eastern populations coming up. Sanford area is definitely more Latino, Latinx population popping up in that area. Uh, you know, Fayetteville's a
So you had so
military town basically, so it's a mix of everybody. You know,
okay. So you have opportunities to mingle with different kinds of cultures and genres, right?
yeah,
Yeah. Why not like create some beautiful things? I mean, yeah. Now that I talk to you, I'm very like interested in like the area. I'm a studier, but like just I got a friend that's in Greenville. You're in North Carolina though, right?
yeah.
Greenville, South. I got a friend that lives in Greenville, South
Mm,
Carolina, and like I know a little bit about it, but I really am not educated on the hip hop scene. But I'm completely like I would completely like to like learn about it, because like I said, I like to learn all the time.
yeah. Like I said, there's just you can pick up the Little Brother album, my album, check
Okay.
out Big
Now yours is
Taz.
under what? Yours is one under what? NCCEO.
Yeah, it's
What is your
One Heartbeat Away, Mr. J.
Mr. J?
Yeah,
MISTERJAY.
Mistajay.
Okay. Yeah. Are you interested in tapping in with other producers? Is the next question.
Yeah,
What do you
definitely.
do? What do you do? What's your process?
Well, my process is, I usually already have kind of where I want to go, and I'm looking for the beat to match that thought or I have in my head. You know what I mean? More times than not, um, unless somebody has like a beat that usually has a hook in it, then I kind of go with where the hook goes.
Okay.
So
What is like? Give me a example of like what's your style? Like what is your process? Do you make your own beats?
no, not in a very long time.
Perfect.
I
Because I
usually
got
get
500 of them. Perfect. I'm glad we met.
no doubt.
Um, so you work with some local producers, and then how do you tell me how your process? I'm interested.
Well, producers from everywhere. I've had excuse me, I've had a producer who got a placement on the Dr. Dre album, Drugs Beats. I've had some production from him. I've had some production from Cat, who's basically from here, but I believe he's in Germany right now. Rick Marvel. He actually did some beats on the Black Sheep album that never got a chance to get released.
Nice.
Um, and then
Black
have
Sheep, man, I haven't heard that in a minute. I used to
yeah,
love Black Sheep.
um, we have Will Made It 910 who did some beats on. I was actually part of a group before I started doing some solo stuff called The Empire. Um, so he's did stuff on our albums, and I, I got some stuff from Anno Domini from my last album. So I mean, it's something from everywhere, just
So how many
all kinds
albums
of
you
different
got?
sounds. One solo. We have two group albums and one
Okay.
mixtape.
So is it just you, or are you a feature guy, or are you in a group?
Yeah, we still mess around with the group, but we haven't released anything lately. But we're hoping to do something in the next year or so. I'm basically doing this, working on my working on the documentary, and then from time to time I'm recording.
Okay. Well, anytime you're missing beats, man. I got. In fact, I'm putting packs together because if you get on my SoundCloud, it's all that's my old stuff. I've stepped my
Hmm.
game up, but like I got samples, I got my own made beats, whatever, So I'm always looking for someone, but if you hear anything that you like, I'm not greedy about anything, I want it's not about the money to me. It's about someone blessing the beats. Like I said, at the end of the process, just going, I made that. And then my artist going, I made that. Like that's a beautiful thing,
No doubt,
that feeling, like after the end, you're
definitely,
like, man, all the work you put in and then sitting in the studio and yeah.
definitely. Well, we're coming up on the hour. Is there anybody you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Let me shout out. Okay, so my ex IG, TikTok, DistroKid. I'm at West T at West T WEST _T. underscore GR. I'd like to shout out Attaboy Paulo at Attaboy Paulo, Fist Coalition at Fist Coalition, at Deadbeat E, which is the other guy I told you about, at Jfer, JFERR, and then my future projects with Big PA at BIGPA, and then at Joe Brown. Those are the guys that watch out, and I'm gonna be my album should be done soon. You know how that goes. Things can
Yep.
happen. I'm not gonna rush through it. I want to make sure it's quality. So it could be a month, it could be a couple months, but it's about ending. But I would definitely like to link up with you at some point and link Carolina up with Michigan because you know
Definitely.
it's a good thing, man.
Um, is there any advice that you want to give up and coming artists, producers?
Don't, yes, there is. Do what, don't listen to what people tell you to do because it's not, do what your heart tells you when you're making your music. And if someone doesn't like it, someone else will. You can't make everyone happy, man. It's a very, 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 very critical, crucial, judgmental game that you're in. And if you take everything personal about anyone commenting on your music, then you're in the wrong game, man, because you're not gonna be able to make everyone happy. But do what, establish identity, stick to that identity, and be real, plain and simple.
No doubt. And definitely appreciate you coming on this
To you, man.
platform. I definitely look forward to networking with you and seeing what you
Absolutely.
got coming in the future,
Appreciate
and
you. Thank you.
and possibly collabing as well. Uh,
I'd be honored. Thank you. It was really good to talk to you, bro. I appreciate you. Keep up the good work on your endeavors too. Don't ever give up that drive. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And I always end the show like this: nobody knows everything, but everybody knows something. So network, network, network. And with that,
Touche.
we
Touche.
out.
Adios, amigo. Have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.